Okay. Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Suzanne Grossman. I direct career services at the Marks School of Public and International Affairs. We're very pleased to have what has become an annual event with the Port Authority for their Port Authority Leadership Fellows Program. So I'm here with Eric Glover, who handles recruitment for the program, and also a Marks alum, Shanoza Kurbansheva. I think you can repronounce that for me. And so I'm going to turn it over to Eric to get started. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, and thank you for having us. Really glad this has become an annual event. Very happy to be talking to you all. So my name is Eric Glover. I'm the campus recruiting manager at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to give a little overview of Port Authority and the Leadership Fellow Program for anyone who's not yet graduating. I'm also going to touch briefly on our summer internship program. And then we're going to turn it over to Shinoza, who is Leadership Fellow, second year fellow, correct, Shinoza? So she's past halfway mark of the program, so she's a great person to talk about her personal experiences in the program. So I won't give too many details about the program because I want to give some time for Q&A as well and answer all your questions about Port Authority, about the program. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen really quickly. I think I just did it. Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay, awesome. So just a little bit about Port Authority for those of you who don't know, we are a bi-state public transportation agency. We're over 100 years old, established back in 1921, so around for quite some time. Our mission is to keep the region moving, and we do that by building, operating, and maintaining much of the transportation and infrastructure assets in New York and New Jersey. And we move hundreds of millions of people through our facilities every year. And we do that by air, land, rail, and sea. If you're anything like me, even growing up in the suburbs of New York, I was always familiar with Port Authority, but my brain always kind of went to the bus terminal and not much else. But as you can see on this map, Port Authority is much more than just the bus terminal. So you'll see air facilities like our airports, so LaGuardia, Newark, JFK, other airports as well. You'll see land, things like Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, GW Bridge, rail, that's PATH trains, and then sea, like our ports in Newark. So again, we're much more than just the bus terminal. So you'll see all of our facilities here. You'll see a little blue figure in the middle. That's our the Statue of Liberty, and our port district is centered around that in the New York Harbor. So you'll see a little border outside of the facilities, and this is what we consider our port district. Um, while what we do is extremely important, how we do it is also just as important. So again, you'll see our mission is to keep the region moving, but we have priorities and standards in place that help us to achieve our mission. So you'll see our priorities are what we focus on to achieve our mission. You'll see things like safety, sustainability, customer experience, and then our standards are how we meet our priorities. So you'll see things like diversity and inclusion, speed, technology. And as I go through this presentation, you'll really see some of these priorities and standards shine through. But it's really ingrained in all the work that we do at Port Authority. And as we keep the region moving, we do that as a financially self-supporting entity. So Port Authority does not receive tax revenue from either state. We rely primarily on revenue that we generate from our facilities. So it can be tolls, it could be fares, it can be rent from facilities. And then you'll see we have a pretty massive capital plan, over $32 billion, and most of that money goes directly into Port Authority facilities. And to kind of give you an idea of what we do with the revenue that we generate, I took these highlights from we did like a whole year-end wrap up our marketing team did on LinkedIn. So I pulled these from there. But I really think it gives you a really good idea of the type of work that Port Authority does. So some highlights you'll see here. Some of you may have experienced this, but we launched contactless payment at our path stations, or at least the pilot of them. You'll see we released a new roadmap to achieving net zero emissions by 2050, lots of improvements to our airports. You'll see we welcomed a new performing arts building to our World Trade Center campus. One of the really unique things about Port Authority is that, while we are a transportation agency and there are other transportation agencies, we're different in that there's all different types of transportation. It's air, land, rail, sea. And I think these highlights really give you a good idea of the diversity of work that we do within Port Authority. And then before I kind of get into the structure of Port Authority, I do like to touch on sustainability because it is one of our key priorities. Being a public transportation agency, we have to think of our impact on the environment. So Port Authority is committed to long-term sustainability of the region while also meeting the infrastructure needs of our region. In 2018, Port Authority became the first U.S. transportation agency to embrace the Paris Climate Agreement. Again, we are committed to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. I mentioned that net zero roadmap. If this is kind of an interest area to you, I definitely recommend checking out the sustainability portion of our website. It has the roadmap there, and you'll see 40 plus action items that we're taking to help us achieve this goal. You'll see on that same section, I don't think the strategy is there yet, but it's coming soon. But details about how we're transitioning to zero emission vehicles and equipment. Outside of that, we have various waste management initiatives like recycling policies, and we also have educational programs for the public, to students, educators, parents, just informing the next generation of climate change and sustainability. So now to kind of give a breakdown of the agency, again, we are a bi-state agency, and as so, we have leadership from both states. So the governor from each state appoints 6 members to the Board of Commissioners, which includes our chairman, and then the Board of Commissioners then appoints the executive director, who's responsible for managing the overall operations of Port Authority. And then under that, we have 43 different departments that are run by chiefs and directors, and we're composed of close to 8,000 employees. A little over 5,000 employees are represented or union positions, and then a little over 2,000 are non-represented or non-union management positions. So for the sake of this presentation, we're going to be focusing on non-represented management positions. So me working in human resources, I'm management. Shinoza as a leadership fellow is management. Any type of position that I'm going to be covering today, it will be in that category. And then just the breakdown of where our employees are based, we're about 43% New York, 57% New Jersey. As someone who grew up in the suburbs of New York, lives in New York, I don't know how I feel about that little difference, but that's how the cookie crumbles. But fairly even. And then, taking kind of zooming out, Port Authority is composed of 17 chiefdoms. So essentially, a chiefdom is a grouping of departments that work closely together. So you'll see lots of different areas here. Everything from engineering to finance to human capital, technology. We have something for just about everyone here at Port Authority. And then zooming into the specific departments within those chiefdoms, you'll see again all the different types of things that we have. So, for example, within a chiefdom, like my chiefdom is called human capital, but I work in the human resources department, and then we also have a labor relations department. But then within the human resources department, we have a talent acquisition team, we have a talent management team, we have business managers and business partners and assessments. So lots of teams within departments as well. So this kind of gives you a good sampling of the types of opportunities that we have at Port Authority. And then I am going to pivot to talking about our campus program. So I'm primarily going to focus on our leadership fellow program, and then just quickly about our summer internship program. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. But before we do get into that, I do want to provide some information for eligibility for international students. So when I'm talking about internships, Port Authority does accept CPT or curricular practical training for international students. But for permanent positions such as the Leadership Fellow Program, Port Authority unfortunately cannot accept CPT or OPT, and we cannot provide sponsorship. So I just kind of like to be upfront about that. And then I'm going to start with the Leadership Fellow Program, and then I'll talk briefly about the summer internship program. So excuse me while I sift through. Okay. So a little bit about the Leadership Fellow Program. This program is open to graduate level students who are graduating between December and June. So if you're graduating this fall or graduating this spring, you'd be eligible for this program if you're a graduate level student. And it's open to all sorts of programs. We don't look for a specific program. I would say it's more about your experiences and also your interests. So outside of your program, we're really looking for a passion for public service. Being a public transportation agency, we exist to serve the public. So that passion, whether it's through your degree, whether it's through internships or jobs or volunteer work, student groups that you're involved with, really relaying that passion for public service. And also, since it is a rotational program, really an openness to exploring different areas of work, including ones that are outside of your comfort zone. So again, this is a 2-year rotational program. I'll get a little bit into the rotations in a future slide. Even though this is a rotational program, it's still a permanent position. So you get a yearly salary, you get benefits. The program starts in early July 2025. And after successful completion of the program, you stay at the Port Authority. So we have, I think at this point, it's a little over 100 alumni that are still working at the agency. And I'll touch a little bit about what kind of roles they work in and what kind of departments they're in as well. But over the span of 2 years, you have 4 rotations in 4 different business functions. So each one is about 6 months each. I would say there's loose guidelines to the rotations, and I think Shinoza can get a little bit more into that about how rotations are chosen and how much flexibility there is. Because I think I kind of describe it as choose your own adventure because your interests are really taken into consideration. But generally, rotations will look. One should be a staff department, so that could look something like human resources, sustainability, continuous improvement. One should be a line department. So we have a different line department for each mode of transportation. So we have departments like aviation, port, path, World Trade Center, tunnels, bridges, and terminals. I think I got them all. And then there's a variety of different roles within those departments. One should be financial related, and then one should focus on facility operations. So between those 4 rotations, you get a really unique view of Port Authority and a really well-rounded view of Port Authority as well. And we'll also get into responsibilities a little bit later too, because I think it's funny when people ask me what a typical day like is for a leadership fellow, and I'm sure Shinoza will agree with me. The answer is always there is no typical day, because it's really going to depend on your rotation and the department that you're working in. But there are probably some common themes in terms of responsibilities. There's a lot of project management, event planning, community outreach, process improvement, research, operations, and just overall leading initiatives that really impact the New York and New Jersey region. But we can get into more specifics as we go through the presentation. In addition to becoming part of the team in each of your rotations, there are also, I like to call them kind of co-curriculars, extracurriculars that come with the program. So there's a lot of mentorship. So you're paired with a fellow from the previous year's cohort. This year we had 7 or 8 fellows join the program. The year before, we had 10 fellows join the program. So being a 2-year program, you overlap with the cohort from the year before. So you're paired with a second-year fellow that really, they've gone through a year of the program, and they're able to help you through the program. But there's also, career coaching from human resources. So you're not going through the rotations, by yourself. There is a program manager who sits on the talent management team within human resources, and she really helps you with your rotation. So, for example, if you were accepted into the program, You would have a conversation with the program manager before the program starts. You would kind of talk about your interests, your career goals, and for your first rotation, she would come back with like several options for your first rotation. You would rank your preferences, and that's kind of how your first rotation is chosen. But then going forward, it's really, I would say, up to the fellow. I feel like from my experience, fellows don't need a lot of like help with their rotations because they kind of know where they want to go. But if you need that guidance, the program manager is there to assist you, of course. There's also trainings connected to the program and just being at Port Authority in general for all employees. Community service is a big part of the program. We have what we call Remembrance Through Renewal. It's a series of events where we honor those we lost in 9/11. So I think we had like 40 plus events this year where it's anything from blood drives to clothing donations to food banks and park cleanups. There's so many different volunteer opportunities that are open to the entire agency, but fellows have a big part in planning these events. So again, that passion for public service, not only does it fit into your rotations, it also fits into this kind of responsibility of the program and lots of networking. So again, we have a little over 100 alumni of the program that are still working at the agency. There's a whole fellows alumni network called FAN. So lots of opportunities to connect with people who are, not only going through the program, but who have finished the program, 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. So a really great community. So, being a larger agency of about 8,000 employees, it's nice to kind of have that smaller network within the larger community. And then just to give you an idea of recent placements of fellows who quote unquote graduated the program, these were some titles because people are generally interested. You'll see project manager, you'll see planner, you'll see analyst positions. But overall, I'd like to kind of give the bigger picture of where our fellows end up. You'll see, similar to the last screen, but you'll see people in finance, you'll see directors, you'll see chiefs of divisions, you'll see people in diversity, equity, and inclusion. People have started their careers through the Leadership Fellow Program, and now they're the tops of their division, like the Deputy Director of Human Resources, who's my Deputy Director, is an alum of the program. And it's just, a great way to really start your career and stay within the agency and grow. And then just to give you an idea of where our fellows end up in terms of departments, I mentioned earlier that we have about 43 different departments at Port Authority. I feel pretty comfortable and confident in saying that we have at least one fellow alum in every department, if not all, definitely most of them. So you'll see all different types of roles and departments where our fellows end up, from human resources to engineering, even to finance, our line departments, you name it. I think we have fellows or alumni there. And then in terms of the application, it is now open. The deadline to apply is December 1st, but I would definitely recommend applying sooner rather than later because we do review applications on a rolling basis. You need to submit a resume and a cover letter that details why you're interested in the Leadership Fellow Program and Port Authority. Here's where you'll really want to highlight your passion for public service and your openness to exploring different areas. And there are 2 rounds of interviews. They generally take place anywhere from October to February. They are virtual, and then offers usually happen between December and March. And then again, the program starts in early July. And then the 2025 class will likely be 6 to 8 fellows. It varies from year to year. So again, you'll see that our 2024 class was 7, our 2023 class was 10. So it really depends on the needs of the agency. But we're looking to hire 6 to 8 fellows for the 2025 class. So you join with a group of people, which is also a nice element of the program. And then I'll drop a link in the chat as well. But if you want to scan this QR code, this will bring you to the application, which again is live now. And then just quickly, I'm going to go back to talk about our summer internship program. And then I'm going to turn it over to Shinoza. So for those of you who are not graduating this fall or spring, maybe you still have some time before you're wrapping up your program. You would be eligible for our summer internship program if you're continuing your studies through the summer 2025 and into the fall 2025 semester. So our internships over the summer start toward the end of May. They're about 12 weeks and they go into the end of August. They are full-time opportunities, so 5 days a week at 7.25 hours per day. They are paid. So we have set rates based on internship type, so management or engineering. And then we also have set rates for school year. So there's one set rate for rising freshmen and sophomores, there's one set rate for juniors and seniors, and then there's another set rate for graduate level students. So being a graduate level student, you do get that higher rate, which is nice. Most of our internships are hybrid. Some are fully in person, so it really depends on the demands of the department. And just to give you an idea, in 2024, we welcomed close to 200 interns across 36 departments in about 16 different locations. So lots and lots of opportunities there. And applications for the 2025 program will start opening in November, December 2024. So if you are interested, I'll do a QR code, but just to give you an idea of like where our interns are in terms of departments, you'll see, just about every department at Port Authority, some more popular than others. You'll see aviation, for example, was our number one, followed by engineering. But you'll see we have interns in just about every department, from finance, human resources, planning, sustainability, law, tech. Again, you name it. Like I even joke that we have a wildlife management or programs team within our aviation department, and we have a biology student who like works with birds at our airports. So it's just like we really, really do have something for everyone. And then just in terms of locations, the vast majority of our internships are at our headquarters at here at Fort Worth Trade Center. Next most popular location is Jersey City, New Jersey, where we have office spaces. And then you'll see we have some internships in Queens, Newark, Hoboken. Like for example, we have admin offices at like our airport. So when you're seeing Queens, that's LaGuardia, that's JFK. When you're seeing Newark, that's Newark Airport. So just kind of give you an idea where we're kind of spread out. And then I'm not going to go into too much more detail because I will take questions about the internship program, but I really do want to focus on the Leadership Fellow program. But if you are interested in kind of getting that email in November, December, when the applications start opening for the summer internship program, you'll want to scan this QR code. It'll bring you to a Microsoft. Just enter your name, your email. And then check off 2025 summer internship program. And by filling out that form, you will get an email from me when the applications open. Sorry for if I was talking a little quick, but I want to get to Shanoza's experience, and I do want to get to Q&A as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Shanoza, if you want to talk a little bit about your experience in the Leadership Fellow program so far. And then for anyone who has questions, I'm okay with taking them via chat or live. So whatever you all want to do works for me. So Shinoza, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. You always give a very great overview of the program. So I'm just going to go into my personal experience because you got the overall picture from Eric. So my name is Shanoza Kurbanshova. I graduated from Baruch in 2022, in December 2022, and I got accepted into the program in the summer of 2023. So it's been more than a year since I've joined the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey as a leadership fellow. I'm currently in my third rotation with Port GIS team. I did my first rotation with the Office of Sustainability, which is a staff department, as Eric mentioned before. And Office of Sustainability is under the Chief Development Office. Some of the cool projects that I worked on were pilot projects for the electric vehicles, where we basically brought one of the first portable EV chargers for electric vehicles, and I actually got an award for that specific program. So my second rotation was with the aviation department, and I was working with the aviation technology and innovation team, which focuses on bringing new technologies to basically all of the airports in New York and New Jersey. Some of the projects that I worked on were improving employees app. We added during my rotation, we were able to add a couple of new functions to the app. So that was a very cool experience in terms of learning some tech skills such as coding, and I'm pretty new to coding, so I really like the fact that the Leadership Fellow programs gives you an opportunity to learn new skills. And I'm currently, as I mentioned before, in my third rotation. It's been more than 2 months since I joined Seaport, where lots of us get our packages from overseas. And I'm working with GIS team building environmental map for the port department. I've been having a great experience so far. I've made a lot of networking. I've got to experience 3 different departments, got to learn new skills such as coding, public speaking. And I remember when I just joined the program, I told Marie and Eric one of my goals is to improve my public speaking by the end of the year. I'm really happy that I get to do a lot of public speaking during my rotations. So I got to work on fascinating projects I mentioned before, and I'm happy to talk more about them. One of the big reasons I joined the Port Authority, besides my passion for public service, is that the port takes sustainability very, very seriously. And that's why my first rotation was with the Office of Sustainability. So if that's your passion, I think you should definitely consider the program. Sustainability is basically a part of each line department within the agency, which is a port, aviation, PATH, and World Trade Center. So overall, I would say that the program is a very holistic way to be introduced to this huge and complex agency. As Eric described, the agency is very big. So as a leadership fellow, you get to be introduced to this agency in a very holistic way without getting shocked, by realizing that the Port Authority is much more than just the bus terminal. It's all of the airports, it's all of the ports in New York and New Jersey, besides the Brooklyn one, which we sold very recently. But there's a lot to try in the Port Authority besides transportation. You can be in the staff department and work on sustainability. There's also a human diversity and inclusion department. So even though it's a transportation agency, because the agency is so big, there's much more you can do besides just working in transportation. It's a great opportunity for those that are not sure what they want to do in their career, because the program gives you an opportunity to be in 4 different departments while being a full-time employee, which is which doesn't happen that often as a fellow. As a fellow, usually a temporary employee, but the great thing about this program is that you're a full-time employee and you get to experience 4 different departments. And what else should I mention? Well, I'm really enjoying the program. I made lots of networking. I also made lots of friends through the Leadership Fellow program. As Eric mentioned, that's huge alumni of fellows within the agency. Every time I join a new department, there's always someone who used to be a fellow. My deputy director at Port used to be a fellow 15, 20 years ago, I think. So it's a very well-known program. I even heard to the program being referred as an elite club. I remember I walked into the conference and they were like, "Oh, are you elite?" And I told them I'm a leadership fellow, and they were like, "Oh, you're from elite club." I'm like, "Okay, good to know. I didn't know I was in the elite club." But the program is very well known. So you get an opportunity to shine within the agency as a leadership fellow. So I don't know what else to tell you, but maybe we can take some questions. If you have any specific questions about the projects I've been working on, or about the program itself, maybe there's something we didn't cover. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm also going to share my email address in case if you want to have one-on-one chat and learn about my interview process or how I choose my rotations. I usually choose my rotations based on the skills I want to develop. I know other people do that on other criteria. Maria, who is the manager of the program, is very flexible. So your preferences are the most important thing when it comes to choosing the rotation. So I go by the skills I want to develop. Some go by the industry. For example, I know people that just love aviation department and all of their rotations are in the aviation and they eventually get placed there. I'm trying to try different stuff. So I was in the aviation. Now I'm port, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go next, but that's something I'm researching right now. So maybe let's open the floor for questions, and I'm happy to answer any, or Eric can.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, now would be a really great, and not everyone gets to speak to a current leadership fellow before applying to the program. So definitely, this is a great opportunity to take advantage of. And I see Yamu, if you want to ask your question.
Yes, Glenn, thank you so much. Hi, Maria. I wanted to ask, how is your schedule like? Is it a hybrid schedule or mostly in the office?
Yeah, it's a hybrid schedule. The policy that you can work 2 days remote and you have to be in the office 3 days. And your office can be a World Trade Center, which is most of the time. It could also be one of the airports under the Port Authority, or it could be locations in New Jersey. But it's 2 days remote and 3 days in person.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see Michelle has a question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Eric, for that presentation, and thank you, Shinoza, for sharing your experience. My question is more about the interview process. So I understand that there's a two-part process. Is that based on which department or which area of field you're interested in? Are those the people that interview you on the second round? So I'm just curious as to the two-part interview process and how that works.
Yeah, so it does change from year to year, but as of recently, the first round interview would be with yours truly. So it's more to gauge interest in the program and to see if your experiences could match with the program and the Port Authority. And then I would say it's a little bit more casual. It's also informative. It's a great time for you to ask questions and learn more about the program to see if it really is an opportunity that you would like to pursue. And then the second round of interview is usually a panel interview. So it would be usually it's 3 people. So it's always going to be the program manager, Maria. She's kind of your constant throughout the program. She helps you with the rotations. She's the final decision maker. But then the other 2 panelists would be people who have managed fellows in the past. So they would be from different departments. And we try to have someone from a staff department, and we try to have someone from a line department. So not only are you getting interviewed by people who have managed fellows in the past, but you're also getting people from different experiences. So with the program manager and 2, whether they're currently managing fellows or previously managing fellows, you're getting 3 very different perspectives on the program. And people have, ended up rotating with someone that they were on the interview panel with. So it really is a great way to even start networking about rotations before you even start. So that's generally the setup of the interviews. And they're structured like the first interview is a little bit more casual, but then the second one is definitely more structured. So there's a series of questions that are going to be asked by the panelists. And my best advice for the interviews, and Shinoza, definitely feel free to chime in with your experience about the interview. But we are looking for, we're testing for certain competencies. So think of some common competencies that, any workplace is probably looking for: project management, interpersonal skills, communication, taking initiative, just things like that. And think of very specific examples. Like for us, for example, we definitely want to see like professional examples. You could use school examples, but try to think of those professional examples. Like what's a time where you really excelled in managing multiple projects at the same time? So think of a couple of times when you took initiatives and really think about the steps you took. Think about like why you took those steps and what the outcome was. So really just think of concrete examples of certain competencies. And I think that will prepare you really well for the second round interview.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. David?
Oh, hi there, Eric, and hi there, Shinoza. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I had a question about the fellowship or the internship because I am a current undergraduate student here at Baruch, but I'm not sure for which one to apply necessarily because I'm a rising senior, so I have one semester left, and so yeah, I'd be graduating in May 2025. So I just wanted a quick clarification to which program I should look into and apply for.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Leadership Fellow program is only open to graduate level students. So if that's something that you choose to pursue later on, you would be eligible for the Leadership Fellow program, but unfortunately, otherwise, it is only open to graduate level students.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, but then also just in terms of other opportunities, I didn't go into too much detail about it in my presentation. While our Leadership Fellow program is one of the more popular ways for Irrelevant Talent to join the agency, can I ask what your major is?
Operations management.
Okay. I mean, I asked because we also have it's a program. It's called the Engineering and Architecture Associates program. Obviously, it's mostly for engineering, architecture, construction students, but there is a need for people with operations backgrounds, data, IT backgrounds. That there's positions within there that are for non-engineers, so that could be a program for you. But we do those two programs are the most common ways for early talent to join the agency. But there are other opportunities. I've been seeing an uptick in recent years of early talent outside of our rotational programs. Within all of our line departments, I would say there's opportunities. We have early talent in human resources. I see it in sustainability, a lot of our finance departments. You can, I would definitely recommend, I'm just going to drop another link in the chat. It might be easy to remember anyway, but if you just go to jointheportauthority.com, that's our career site. It's probably a little early. I mean, for our rotational programs, now is the time to be applying for them. But for opportunities outside of our rotational programs, you'll probably want to look at our career site a little closer to graduation. I would say maybe 3 months, and this is different for every organization. So don't it might be different elsewhere, but for us, I would say we fill a lot of our jobs within 90 days. So probably 3 months before graduation, 2 months. That might be a good time to start looking at our career site to see if any available opportunities outside of our rotational programs. And at that same link, you can also join our talent network. So if you do that, you're not constantly checking our career site, you get notified of relevant positions. So yes, it's not to say that we don't have positions out of the Leadership Fellow program, but if you are an undergraduate level student, that would be the route to take. For anyone interested in Leadership Fellows, definitely apply now. But for other opportunities, it's probably a little bit closer to graduation that you'll be wanting to look for positions. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sonam.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Eric and Shinoza, for sharing your experience. Really appreciate it. I was just wondering, do you necessarily have to be a U.S. citizen, or could you be like a permanent resident and apply for this program as well?
Yeah, so yeah, you don't have to be a US citizen. It's just that we can't provide sponsorship and we don't accept OPT. So if you don't need sponsorship and you don't need OPT, then yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Saida?
Hi, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. So, since you say that you don't accept the OPT or you don't offer sponsorship, so that particularly actually this is not for F1 students. Is it like that? Like we can have CPT or there is no option for F1 students.
So again, if you require sponsorship now or in the future, Port Authority can't provide that sponsorship, and we can't accept CPT or OPT for permanent positions such as the Leadership Fellow program. But we do accept CPT for internships. So if you're not graduating yet and you're interested in the summer internship program, we do accept CPT for that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
international students are only eligible for the internship program, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Eric, along those lines, if a student is graduating in May, whether undergrad or grad, is there a requirement for the internship? Like some people do internships the summer after they graduate. Do you have to be a student in the fall?
Oh, yeah, that is a good question. And yes, we do. I mean, if I know some programs go through like the end of August. So like if you're currently enrolled through the summer, then yes, you're eligible. But if you're graduating in May, you unfortunately wouldn't be eligible for the summer internship program because a requirement of our internship program is that you're currently enrolled in a program of study.
Thanks.
Yep.
I have a question. This might have been on the slide, but I was updating our notes for our database. Is there salary information listed for the Leadership Fellow program?
Yeah, so the salary range is likely going to be, I can get pretty probably specific. I'm waiting on the updated salary. We usually, because of inflation and things like that, we update it. I'm waiting for the updated numbers. But the salary range will likely be between 79 and like low 80s for the 2025 cohort.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and then just like on top of that, you do get a yearly salary, but we also have a lot of great benefits at Port Authority. So in addition to the yearly salary, health, dental, vision, life insurance, retirement plan. So we're part of the New York State and local retirement system, or NISLR. So it's a pension plan, which is, when I joined, I was like, wow, that's like kind of not common anymore, which is a really great benefit. We have commuter assistance. So after a month of working at Port Authority, that benefit kicks in, and we give you about $60 per month on a debit card that you could just use on the subway or any sort of public transportation. We have tuition assistance. I know many of you are probably graduate students, and you're probably not thinking of more school after that. But if you are, or if you're in undergrad and you're joining outside of the Leadership Fellow program, that benefit kicks in after a year. So we do provide assistance for degrees. We have family and maternity leave. So lots of great benefits that come with the position as well. And there's been a huge uptick in wellness benefits as well. Like, I don't know if you all are familiar with the Calm app. I'm a fan, but like that's free for us to use. We have like discounted gym memberships. We have discounted City Bike memberships. So lots of cool benefits as well. Any other questions? Yamu, you have another question?
Yeah, so one last question. I know you mentioned it already twice. So if I'm currently on a OPT and I have STEM as well, which is 3 years of being able to work, but I'm currently working on my green card, will I still be eligible for any positions outside of the fellowship? I mean,
S-
the ones that I just read.
Yeah, so OPT including STEM, that falls under the bucket of requiring sponsorship in the future. If anything were, I know you said your work, did you say your
I'm working now on my green card or my permanent resident.
Yeah, I mean, so it would really be at the time of submitting an application that like if you submit an application and that changes, like definitely email me and let me know. But it would have to be like before the program starts. So yeah, I mean, at the time of applying, I would recommend, answering questions based on, your current status. But then if anything changes, you're welcome to reach out and change that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, looks like that might be it. For those here, please join me in thanking Eric and Shanoza for being here today and sharing all the great information. And Shanoza, you had said you were gonna either drop the your email in the chat,
I'm gonna drop my
or
email
I
there.
could share it in the follow-up. And then there's Eric's email. And Eric, will you also forward me the slides from today? So
Yeah, yeah,
because we had
absolutely.
another, 20 or so people who signed up but couldn't make it.
Okay.
So we'll send that around to everybody, including those here, so you can have those slides. And then we just hope many people apply as possible. Oh, and Eric, if you can send me like that any email sign up. Oh, I think actually I grabbed that. But yeah, just encourage everyone to sign up for that email list so you can be notified about the internships and whatnot.
Yes,
So
for sure.
great. All right, thanks so much. I'm gonna stop the recording.